and everything that's involved with ladies and weddings.
Well, I'm a wedding photographer, so I'm
oh gosh, so you know exactly.
Yeah. So is it a one-day event? Isn't it like more than one day?
This one is a Western style wedding.
Okay.
It's taking place in like a Western style facility. The groom is Japanese.
So I'm going to back up because we are recording now, which you guys probably saw, which is good. But actually, Laura, Rose, stay around and go ahead and let people know where you're at, because I think that's an interesting way to get kicked off. And thank you for jumping in.
Sure thing. So this is I'm currently in Japan in Tokyo, actually in like the conference area, the convention center area, because I'm hoping that after this I'll be able to go to the Museum of Science and Industry, which is supposed to be absolutely amazing. And this is not my first time in Japan. I studied abroad here a few years ago. So it's kind of natsukashi, very good memories. It's been a while. I've forgotten so much of my Japanese. But it's kind of cool to be back, and really, really fun to spend time with my sister-in-law, even if she is turning into a bridezilla. So, yeah,
that's awesome, and it sounds like you're running on low batteries, so we'll hope things work out.
I think I should be okay, because I have my computer tends to do pretty well with the battery, but it's a lot lower than awesome. I feel comfortable with.
Yep. And I know we have a few different time zones represented. We now have a few different countries and hemispheres represented. So if anybody does need to jump out, now that we have the recording going, you can always review. So feel free to jump off if you need to. Again, this is fairly informal and just want to have a chance to get to see and know each other a little better, and also just answer some questions. So at any point, if you gotta jump off, feel free to do that. So good to see everybody here, and we have enough that I probably won't. I was thinking, and we're getting going a little later now, since that was my fault and I couldn't quite get the recording going. But we probably won't do a full round of introductions. Most of us know each other or have at least met each other via the introduction. So I really, at this point, want to open it up and turn it over to you guys and say, where are you at with the course? How do you feel about the partnerships? What questions are remaining about the projects and where we're headed? I want this to be just informative, and I can also sort of give you a little peek ahead. But let's start with just questions and or thoughts. I'm going to let you guys run the show in a lot of ways. And I'll just hopefully be here to help answer questions, or we can just bounce ideas as a group. As you can tell, I think my style of teaching, I taught this course, TA'd it for a while, helped design it, and then sort of overhauled it and redesigned it. But my philosophy certainly is that this is just a group of which I am a part of, and we're learning together. And I want you guys to feel like you have some ownership over how this thing goes. So know that this is not me running the show. We're a group trying to learn something together. So who has questions or thoughts on where we've been, where we're headed, or anything related to partnerships or the solution design project itself? Yes, Chris, go ahead. And it sounds like you guys have already done so, but yeah, certainly mute your mic, or if you have any issues with connectivity, sometimes just dropping your video helps. But yeah, it looks like you guys are already on cue as far as muting yourselves. You've got this down.
I don't know if it's easier if I share my screen or if I just talk about it, but the question that I have is, I noticed that you were kind enough to share a prior student's project pertaining to the solution design project, and it's on Google Docs. And the format of it, my question is, are we supposed to utilize the same type of actual box where it says topic, group, organization, task, background, objectives? Is that the format that you would like us to follow?
Really good question. And no. know that I'm also a big advocate of you guys taking ownership and creative freedom of how the structure and sort of the main pieces that we're going to tackle. That'll probably remain consistent, and you'll see that in some of the rubrics that I'll be looking for those pieces. But the way you actually lay it out, if you have a good reason to not even have it be a document, that maybe I should watch what I say, but I'm open to you formatting it and sort of crafting it in whatever way makes sense for you to display it, honestly. So use it as a model. The broad structure is there, but yeah, you certainly don't have to stick to it as far as how the layout looks. Anything else?
I have a question about the learner personas.
Sure.
Now, if I've sort of kind of taken a week off here, and I'm just kind of getting back into the swing of things. But looking at the description, I mean, we're basically supposed to invent a person, right?
Yep, that's a good way to look at it. Yep.
Okay. All right.
You're inventing a representation of a learner. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yep. And I mean, best case scenario in the real world, you might have access to doing some, you do some interviewing, or you'd really get deeper into that empathetic stage of like, who are we dealing with? And you could actually create personas that are modeled out of, off of real individuals. But obviously in this context for this course, you're just sort of projecting based on the information that you can collect what those learners might be. So yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. What else as far as questions? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. So the learner persona, like I've written like instructions, not like big modules or anything like that. But is this the first time that like I'm actually focusing on the learner? It was like always built like, okay, we have a need for making instruction for this case, things like that. Like, I don't know like how often I would have to actually study or learn to do the instructional design. I do understand the empathy part of it, and like for the volunteer opportunity that we are doing as a group, that is all that I have. Like, you focus on your learner and you build the instruction because I don't know how it's going to look eventually. I don't know what's the end product or anything. So that ways this actually works. But in like life, like what I'm doing now, I don't know how much I actually focus on. Maybe I would actually focus on the skills of what they're lacking. Maybe yes, but not necessarily like living in that person's life kind of to get that much information.
Yeah. And Sheena, thanks. To this point, you've been very active and brought up a ton of good questions. So it's good to see and meet you. And that brings up something I definitely want to touch on, which is these projects will be evolving. The sequencing, I know, is not necessarily there is no single sequencing of these sort of processes that cascade across any solution design. Obviously, we have to stick to one as a group just so we have that consistency. But you'll be revisiting all of these pieces as you build out the design document. So take a good stab at given where you're at. I know you've not done enough to really fully grasp the full context of the problem. So do what you can at this point and know that you'll likely revisit those personas. You might tweak things having learned something. These are living documents that obviously eventually towards the end of the course will have very sort of finalized and polished products. But throughout, you're always welcome to revisit any of these sections and build in the new knowledge that you gain.
Oh, so as we build, I can go and edit the persona again and again to add in stuff. Okay.
And I'll provide feedback, and through the peer review process, we're definitely going to be looking at each other's projects and providing feedback. And from the assignment standpoint, I'll sort of take a snapshot of where that's at for that specific piece. But after that, you're always welcome to make tweaks, and I'll take the comprehensive document into account as we move on. So In fact, you might mention, you know, hey, we're working on the storyboard. This comes later. But know that based on adding this element to the storyboard, we actually revisited the personas and made some updates there. And I'll certainly go and take a look at what those updates were.
Sure. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Anything else as far as questions? And it's awesome to see folks jump in. Anything around, it took a little bit to get these partnerships established. I feel like everybody's at a good place. I think the topics are all at least evolving. I know a lot of them still have, you have use these first couple assignments to also flesh out that topic. Know that we don't have to be like completely set on what that final solution is going to look like. So again, this thing will evolve as we go. And that's just the truth of designing good instruction, that it is an iterative process that you're revisiting as you do it. You're building the plane as you're flying it in a lot of ways. I think that's a pretty good analogy. So know that even if you don't feel totally comfortable with exactly where your topic's at, they're going to be evolving as we go. Anything else? Partnerships, general observations. We can go in any direction. Later on, we'll do a few more of these, hopefully, and just sort of based on interest or need. And we can look at some work in some of the later sessions. With this one, obviously, we're just not far enough along. So this is really just, in fact, this is sort of the discovery in the spirit of sort of the solution design process. This is sort of just a discovery phase of where people are at, what are sort of some early questions. Let's get to know each other a little better. This is sort of at that stage. So hopefully modeling a little bit of where we're at with the actual project.
Well, this is Darlisa, and I just wanted to say hi. I just want to say that this is really fun, and I think it's just so, it never ceases to amaze me that, so I work in corporate learning, and I've, built a lot of e-learning and a lot of instructor-led classes and stuff, and it never ceases to amaze me that no matter how many times I go back to the basics, it's always super valuable. And, it's just so funny that, we put together the solution and then, our solution design. And then I realize that that's one of my biggest problems. It continues to be that I want to always get to the solution. And it's so great to just be able to just, okay, let's let that go and go all the way back to the beginning, because we get so used to just skipping all those steps, especially when we're working, and when we just have to deliver. So, I just really appreciate this methodical approach to taking it all the way back and going through each one of the steps and seeing the value of all those steps again.
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing that. And I'm guilty of it. We are, anyone who's sort of worked through some of these sorts of initiatives are guilty of it. You don't have the time, and so you come up with something you think is going to work, and you just go and you do it, and you get. But the payoff to really understand a really systematic approach to designing the instruction, it pays off tenfold. And the cool thing is, you design your own design, right? Like it's per project, it's per our own individual interests and what we know we're good at. There's an infinite number of ways we can sort of refine these processes, but the key really is have a process. Don't just go and assume that last product is going to meet those learners' needs. It's really hard. You might get lucky and that happens, but yeah, the process is the instruction in a lot of ways. So good to hear. That's awesome. So
one of the concepts I'm having a little bit of difficulty with, and I'm kind of looking ahead at the discussion for next week, is the idea of design models and design frameworks. And you ask a question, what frameworks am I leveraging? And I'm drawing a blank. I looked at the the static visual frameworks, and they're pictures on paper that don't necessarily mean anything to me. And I'm just wondering if you can give us some a better way to think about that.
Yeah, I would say one, in a perfect world, we'd have like a lot more time. Each of those frameworks could be an entire course, in all honesty. So yeah, I mean, most of those are based on years and years of research. They're coming from iterating on those processes over and over. So I totally, Jim, I'm with you. I totally get you. I run into frameworks where it like reshuffles my whole thinking, where I'm like, oh, I felt so good about like what I've learned about design thinking and what Stanford was trying to do with that. And then I see something else and I'm like, well, that feels like it just contradicts it. And now I've got to like relearn why that feels like that's an important way to look at it.
Okay.
So I would say, don't look at any of them as like the single framework or solution that's going to just, dictate every way you design a solution, and instead look at them as a body of frameworks and find the pieces that really resonate. And then if you do see a framework that you're like, oh, I get what that's sort of trying to do, then do more research. Like there's more out there about each of those.
Okay.
That I just didn't provide or didn't want to overwhelm you guys with.
Sure.
So,
I guess, I'm looking at the diagrams and I'm wanting a narrative, and you're saying that the narrative is out there somewhere. If Google it and I can find it.
Yeah, I think there's more context. In fact, careful, because there's more than you'll ever want on
Sure.
those.
No, I understand.
Those, Yeah, those are big ones that certain schools of thought have sort of leaned on for a long time.
Okay.
So yeah, and reach out to me, like say, hey, I jumped over to the things is, the ADDIE model is sort of the baseline. I mean, that's been around for
right.
That's sort of built out of military based. I mean, that's really, when it comes to adult learning and instruction, that really was the foundation. Most of this other stuff sort of spawned off of that. If you come across something that you're just like, I'm not actually finding what I thought I would around creating more context to these, just shoot me a message, say, hey, can you point me at a couple things that might expand on this a little bit? And I've got some of that ready to go, so I can point it back to you.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Your thinking and what you're saying is I understand it. Like I've been there.
That's reassuring.
Yep.
Jim, I have a suggestion, at least from my own experience, and that's if you don't have a copy of it, ISD from the Ground Up by Chuck Hodel is actually a pretty good resource for being able to like flip through quickly and see what different theories are and different people. For me, it's been a really good jumping off point because I had to teach myself a lot of instructional design on the job.
So I'm sorry, what was the reference again?
It's called ISD from the Ground Up. I think it's on 4th edition, and the author is Chuck Hodel, HLL. I would check that out because that might help orient you about it. And I apologize for the background music. It sounds like.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great call, Laura. That's great resource. And I will actually.
I do have a question while I'm talking, and while I'm subjecting you all to this terrible music.
You're in Japan. You're allowed to. It's fine.
Sure.
You get a pass.
Yeah. Oh, at least it's not pop music, right? So this is actually my first semester, and I do not know anyone. So one thing I was hoping to get a little bit out of this meeting is to be able to match names to faces. So I know that we've had only a few people talk, and I'm not sure what the best approach would be, because obviously this is a really big Zoom meeting and a lot of people already know each other. But I guess, are there any other people who are starting or first semester or very early on in their ISD careers? Yeah. Okay.
Let's just do it. I'm okay. Let's just keep ourselves brief, but we can go around. In fact, that would be helpful for everybody that even peeks in. So I'm just going to jump back over and we'll go down the line. And let's just do quick name and, maybe you can, one sentence. We'll go quick. I want to make sure we address any questions, but we're good. We have 20 minutes. So Let's go Jim first, real quick, even though we've heard from you.
So I'm Jim Lavelle. This is my third course. My background is in medicine, and I'm trying to bring instructional design principles and e-learning to medical education and postgraduate training.
Love it. Darlisa.
Sorry, I wasn't quite ready with the unmute there.
I'm gonna go rapid fire. Sorry.
Okay. Dang it! I'm on the spot. This is my 7th course in this program. I'm taking it really slow. It's interesting for me because I started this program really to try to kind of make myself more employable as a manager. And then just like a year and a half ago, I just had a management opportunity come out of nowhere for me. So it's been kind of interesting to, in some ways it's been hard because it's made me lack the motivation that I had before, to continue in the course, but also because I've just been so slammed with work that, I know that I'm going really slow. This is I've been in this program like 2.5 years, but it's great. It's like this class, I'm finding it as a nice little vacation from my real work and some of the other stuff I have to deal with, and to be able to really, get back to the basics. And also when I'm I've got a couple of people that report to me who are subject matter experts, and they're not really trainers, but they've kind of been trainers, for a long time. So going back to, as I'm learning things in the class or as we're going through things, to be able to teach them too. That was probably more than anybody wanted to know. So anyway, hi, nice to meet y'all.
Love it.
I actually have a quick request. When people introduce themselves, could you also say where you are based?
We just had a mind meld. I was about to say, yeah, give us a quick on where you're at. Since
I'm
most
in
are not,
Seattle.
probably Japan.
Seattle, Washington. So just an hour away from you guys.
I'm in Denver.
And Jim's Denver. And let's go to Chris.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Rabideau. I am finishing up my schooling here. Like I said before, I'll be done in December. Right now it's warm, Michigan, soon to become chilly. So I'm also a college professor at a local college.
And a keeper of rabbits.
Yeah, that's my daughter's. Anybody want it?
What do you teach, Chris?
I teach information technology, like Windows Server, Windows Client. I'm a geek. But I don't like to tell people that, because when I have a problem in the class, they think that I should know everything. And electronics hate me and I break everything. So
never give yourself up as knowing technology.
No.
I'm forever the family tech help. Or hey, embrace it. One or the other. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, for those who don't know, Chris jumped in, and actually I don't know the story, but at some point you got transferred, and she came in a little late, but has done a lot of work to get caught back up and got you into a group. And I'm just thankful that you put the time in to get back to speed with everybody. So thanks for that. Let's go, Aaron.
Hey, I'm Aaron Aldrich from Denver, and I'm a former educator and graphic design, and I wanted to put it all together, and I have one course to go. So that's my cram it all into one sentence.
Perfect. And yeah, I know, Aaron, congrats on coming down to the end here. Let's go, Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert. I'm a former telecom engineer, and I teach English in Korea now. And this is my 3rd time living here. I've spent about 20 years out of the country. I'm not a very good American, so here I am again in Asia. Thanks.
You're a good globalist.
I have one more course. Yeah, one more course.
One more.
Yes, I am a globalist. Yeah.
You and Aaron. I think we have a pretty good contingency of either 1 or 2 courses. So yeah, interesting actually. I think we have a sort of a split of right down to the end and just coming in. So that'll be great. Those that have been in the program for a while know that you'll probably be a good asset for those that are just jumping in. Let's jump to Megan.
Hi, all. I'm Megan. This is my 7th course, and I'll be done in December. Or sorry, I say that back in May. And I'm a high school math teacher in Boulder. And so I really just want to connect the technology to the classroom. And eventually I have goals to teach interactive math classes.
Megan, I have to ask, which school do you teach at? Because I went to high school in Boulder.
Oh, really? I went to South Boulder.
Which one?
I'm at Fairview. Sorry, my internet's being really slow tonight.
That's where I graduated from.
Oh, that's awesome.
2005. Yeah.
Did you? Sorry, I can't. What'd you say? Really?
That's where I graduated. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is my
school.
Good.
Well, very cool.
Someone else on the AirPods too.
Yes, I know. I love them. I just got them this summer.
I have a really good, I won't come up with it right now, Megan, but shoot me an email, say, Taylor, in the recording, you knew about a really cool math app that
Okay.
I'll have to dig it up, but I just came across actually a couple days ago, something I think it'd be worth looking at. It was really cool. Interactive math-based app. Anyway, shoot me a message.
I will do that.
Cool. Let's move on to Guillermo.
Hi guys. This is actually my first semester, and I'm actually taking a class with you, Laura, the social media class.
Awesome. All right, we'll do.
I just commented you on your website. I work for Centura Health here in Colorado. I'm managing the training department for a contact center. And I've been doing that for about 3 years now. Graduated from MSU here in Denver, modern languages with Spanish focus.
Awesome. Love it. Good to have you. And let's go, Ken.
Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Kendra Wilt, and I live downtown Denver.
I knew it was Kendra, and I'm just reading names across the screen.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Ken's fine too.
Okay.
Downtown Denver. I'm right across from the Rocky Stadium. My background's in elementary education, grades 1st through 6th, but right now I'm working part-time for a technology company called Ibotta.
Big local startup in Denver, getting a lot of traction. Probably a fun group to work with.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I work remotely, but I do get to go in. They're in the CenturyLink building up the street, so yeah, it's a pretty neat office.
Cool. And Tiana, I think is that who's next? What do we got? Yep.
Sorry, did you say Tana?
Yes.
Okay, that's me. I'm Tana. So this is my final class. Excited about that. And I'm based in Denver. I wish I were in Korea with Robert because I'm studying Korean. Been interested in languages a long time. Got my undergrad in Arabic actually. But I've worked for a very long time at the Children's Hospital doing tech stuff. And yeah, I'm pumped that I'm working with Robert again. I worked with Robert and Aaron last semester on a project. Went great. And so Robert and I are excited to go to the Congo and teach people about plants.
I love it. You've already embraced it. You're like, we're going. We're there. Mentally, we are in the Congo.
We're there. We have our machetes and our ropes. We're in the jungle.
Love it. Who's that? Sheena.
Hi, I'm Sheena, and I'm in Superior, Colorado. I moved here from Chicago last year, and this is my 3rd course. Just like Darlisa said, I'm taking it slow because of all the new changes at work, new job, new everything. Basically, I got instructional design because the library is starting to do a lot of stuff for seniors, for teens, everything. We build our own little modules and courses for them when we do programs and stuff. And also training for in-house, the staff, even if it's just research or whatever. It's not big projects, but all small things. And libraries are just embracing a lot of new technologies. So we're always being bombarded with new stuff. And, we just have to learn to use it all on the fly. And so those kind of things. So I'm like the technical coordinator now at Lafayette. So that's what I do now. That's it.
Awesome. I think we just have Abby maybe left. Is that right?
Hi, y'all. Is this how this works? Am I doing this?
You're good.
Okay. I live in Grand Junction now, but I'm from Austin, Texas. I used to work in the international nonprofit world. Actually, I was a freelance grant writer and lived in Tanzania for almost 2 years and have kind of bounced around for a while. But now I'm back in the States, trying to be a good American. And yeah, I thought I'd do this project. I'm a new mom and just kind of taking my career on a different path.
So you can relate to these UN projects. So these probably bring back memories.
Very much so.
Cool. Did I miss anybody?
I need to go, even though I guess I kind of.
Yes, you initiated, but yes. Cool.
Yes, I initiated. So I'm Laura Rose. I am currently in Japan, but I actually live in Allen's Park, which is up in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. And I previously was on track to be a history professor. I jumped out of that because academia right now is a sinking ship in the humanities. And then I worked for a few years at an e-learning startup that had just been launched out of the 500 startups in San Francisco, and then moved to Boulder, called Avenue. And that has convinced me that I am never working in a startup again because I am so burned out. But it was definitely an experience worth doing once. And I got to teach myself a lot of instructional design. So I'm excited to see what I taught myself is actually like similar to what we're going to be learning, because I have no clue.
And I would say I love those that say I kind of have no clue and let's see where we go, because that's in a lot of ways every project, at least a lot of what I've worked on, you kind of embrace that mindset because everything's new, like, you know, which is why I really push to try a project that you really weren't familiar with, because that's just sort of the reality. Like, you've got to kind of relearn every situation, and that's why be adaptable. The framework's not going to be the same every time. Like, you just build skill sets along the way, but it's a ton of that. So awesome. So thanks for doing that. We're down to about 10-15 minutes. If anyone has like really pressing questions, let's go there first. And then I can just sort of give a quick where are we headed. But let's make sure while we were doing those, did any other sort of partnership or project specific questions come up that we can hit on first?
I was just a little curious about how the partnership works with the assignment due this week, the learner persona profile that we talked a little bit about earlier as well. So it's one persona profile that we both work on and one person turns it in, right?
So mostly correct. Two persona profiles per project.
Okay.
But yes, just one partnership. Now that we've established those, and if anyone doesn't feel like they know what those are, I've got it laid out. I think we're clear, but if you don't, let's definitely nail that down. So it's 2 persona profiles per partnership. There's 2 partnerships of 3, and then everybody else is in pairs. And then it's 1 submission per group, and then moving forward, we'll also get into some peer reviews and stuff too. So that's a piece we haven't quite hit, but that'll be pretty clear. I mean, we're basically just going to jump into other projects and give feedback based on what we've learned and what we're seeing and where these other projects are headed. It'll be cool because it'll give hopefully everybody a pretty broad sense of sort of where multiple projects are headed, and it'll influence where you go. But yeah, for this, again, keep it just focused on where we're at. And we sort of went back and forth with just releasing everything and really giving you a feel of exactly where everything's going. It's a lot to take in, so I think and I'm open to, you know, this may not be the best approach, but just sort of sequentially releasing it, I think helps keep us just like, let's just focus in the moment and not get too overwhelmed by the broader picture. So yeah, keep focused on those personas for now, and we'll just sort of move ahead as we go.
Okay.
I can, other questions, I'll bring up the little sort of course map that I shared on the homepage, but some may or may not have peeked at. That's probably the best. That does give a broad overview of everything. But any other, did that help with the personas? Or any other questions? So I'll share this real quick. Let's do this. Have folks taken a peek at this?
Yep.
See some head nods, so that's cool a little bit. So if you do want to just sort of see where things are headed and just how, this is my own sort of design process around this course. There's this weird meta component that I realize is involved in designing a learning solution that is then in turn used to help you all design learning solutions, which is what an online course is. But this is the sort of an initial step in really gaining a broad perspective. We'll get into some course mapping and project mapping and that sort of thing. That's basically what this is. But this is a good resource. Just gotta, for those that do want to kind of take a peek ahead, this gives you that look. So you can kind of, this is pretty hard to see. Let's zoom in a little bit with where we're at here. Yeah, 1, 2. So discovering the gap, that's obviously where we're at now. We'll really get into, you know, more specific looking at design. So really after this sort of initial discovery phase and looking at some of what the learners might be in those personas, then we're going to get into some more real critical sort of, these components are going to really dictate things moving forward after Unit 2, which is alignment, creating really sound objectives, being very clear about what exactly we're trying, what problem we're trying to solve, how are we going to engage learners? So just more tactical and techniques on what some of these, again, this is all in the design of, we're not moving all the way to producing any sort of final. I know that question comes up often of, oh God, are we creating this final thing? I'd love to create, this big website that does all these things and has, no, hopefully that's clear. We're certainly not having to go that far. This is all about the scaffolding and design around a project that could potentially be built. So phase 2 and Unit 3 and 4, definitely deep into the design of things. Phase 3 and Unit 6, 5 and 6, looking at evaluation. How are you going to know that what you designed actually is meeting those learners' needs? And then wrapping up with some just sort of, hopefully things get fun. It's going to be hard work through the middle of the course, and then I'm hoping by this last phase, we kind of take a little bit of a break, do some reflecting. We'll look at some just like, how do I use social tools nowadays to sort of broaden my own reach as a designer, as well as the scope of the project potentially. So that's what some of those last couple of weeks will be. Hopefully gives you a little break from like being deep into the design. But this resource is on the homepage. Take a peek if you want that broader view. What else, since we are now getting down to about the last 5 minutes, can I answer anything else as we sort of close things out?
I have a question.
Absolutely.
When I'm on the Project 2 Learner Personas page, in the first sentence it says, for this assignment, you will create, and then it's a hyperlink, and it says Learner Persona. Then when I click on it, it just goes to the home page. Is it supposed to go to a definition, or where is it supposed to go?
I'm going to take a peek as we go, because it should go to, there's a broader learner personas sort of a page that outlines those, and that's really where that should point. So let me double check and make sure. If that's what you're saying, you're probably not alone. I'm assuming that's everybody. So I'm gonna hopefully fix it on the fly, and we'll make sure it's pointing to the right place.
Could be me.
And yeah, like I said, this course is evolving in a lot of ways too. So as you see things, by all means, point them out. I'm perfectly happy accepting faults in a lot of parts and pieces.
Well,
It
I
won't be
do
the
it
end of
too.
that.
I do
Yeah.
it too. I'll shut off folders by accident, and I'll tell my students just send me an email. So it happens. But
Yep.
I just
No,
wanna make
but like
sure.
I said, definitely bring it up. What else? I'll try to make sure that's fixed up before we go. Anything else from anyone? And yes, I'm seeing the issue, so perfect.
I have one question, just suddenly came up. Like you have rubrics for the learner persona and everything, but for the other assignments, is there a rubric? Even though you say there's I can't see any rubrics. I don't know what to base my answer on.
Yes, and I think I heard it right. Just as far as rubrics tied to the assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know there's a rubric for the learner persona profile, which makes it really clear and it's broken down like where exactly you'd focus on. But like, the exploration topic and all, do they have a rubric, or it's just like a discussion, we just put in whatever?
Yep. For anything that has a rubric, keep it. I mean, that is, a large part of the grading is going to be based off of that. But it's not. In fact, the exploration pieces are designed to be quite the opposite of that. I don't want full regimented structure on everything. So if one does not exist, know that is your opportunity to. I will not grade based on any sort of specific structure. So you're welcome to be creative, and those exploration discussions specifically are meant to be just that. So, yep. Yep. Let your thinking fly. Some that know me, I think, better than others know that I'm okay shooting for the stars when it comes to some interesting connections and thinking. So challenge each other, ask big questions. But again, when there's at least the large components, the projects, and it's pretty clear, they have higher point values, they'll have rubrics, and obviously hit those pieces. And Chris, give me a refresh and try that link again, and we should be fixed. Hopefully.
Okay. While I'm refreshing, just to recap, so for the project 2, we're supposed to get with our partners, and then there's one person that's supposed to all 3 of us? Or
Yep. Just per partnership, just a single submission.
Okay,
and
it's working.
I now know, like I said, if there's any issues with any of the partnerships, definitely let me know, because at this point, each of those single submissions, that's basically a single submission for that group, and I know the groups. So be in touch with each other. That's another piece. I'm certainly leaning on you guys to figure out the right balance. I know there's people traveling. Communicate with each other as much and as often as possible. Communicate back with me if anything comes up. But in a lot of ways, just be understanding that we all are in very different places, and that's part of this process, is to work collaboratively and try to understand what we all bring, and the fact that we're, there's going to be times where, like, I thought we were, spending a ton of time right now to get this done, and I can't get in touch. Try to do as much of that communication early to avoid those frustrations, and just know it's part of the process. If you're not frustrated at some point during this course, like, I would feel like I honestly didn't do a good job. That is just part of the deal. Learning is it's fun, and it's also really challenging. Hopefully all those pieces are going to be built into the course. And I'm actually, we still got some time. I was looking at my time on my computer. Says we're right there, but we're like 5 or 10 till still. If anybody has anything else, we've got a little time.
Well, just it's nice to actually see faces and meet people in person per se. So cool idea to do the Zoom, and I'm looking forward to the ones we do in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes, and thank you. I mean, this only happens with you guys agreeing to be here. I also want to be mindful that that doesn't mean in any way that those that couldn't, you know, are somehow not part of that positive community building that this represents. I get it. We all have just very different lives and things going on. I'll do another poll, you know, as we do this. Like I said, hopefully we'll do at least 2 more and be able to look at some actual projects. I'll probably base some of those times based on this being and using that previous poll and looking at some of those times to be able to offer this for those that weren't able to attend this one. So hopefully out of those 3 or 4 that we do, everybody will have a chance at least to jump into one that works for them. Anything else? All right, I'm gonna assume the silence means we're tired or in another country or ready to move on. So thank you guys again for jumping in tonight. And as you've seen in a lot of the communication, I'm open and available, and this class certainly I wanted to challenge you. It will, I think, through the next sort of 4 to 5 weeks, sort of leading into the break. It's there'll be a lot of work, but enjoy it. Like I want these projects to be things that we all really do have fun with. So keep both those things in mind. Make sure it's challenging, but make sure you're enjoying it along the way. And communicate, over communicate. Everything I know of online courses is that's really what makes them work. So communicate with each other as often as needed, and with me when you need to. A lot of you have already done that, so thank you. And if there's issues or errors, point them out. They will be there. Awesome. We're gonna sign off. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and we will catch you online. And keep moving. The projects are in great shape. Really like where they're at. So until next time.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.